Good bit of gear you got
Good
there.
bit of gear, yeah. No, we only run the best here at Cadimla, so yellow and blue all the way through.
Blue being Finch,
Nah, blue man New Holland tractors.
New Holland tractors.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there we go. I'm with you now. All New Holland.
All New Holland have been. The old man's had New Holland for 40 years. He's had every colour you can think of, and we've always ended up back at yellow.
Back at Yalla. Yep.
Back at yellow.
But cut a long story short, I've had every colour pretty
Yeah.
much. Yep.
Yeah. So how long have you been harvesting for now? When did you start?
Oh, I was in my 20s, or no, I should say probably 18.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
From at home.
Yeah,
But
just
you
at
never
home.
ventured up north until you were in your 20s.
No. Yeah. But the first header we ever did a bit of contracting with down home was a 585, massive. And Dad branched out and bought the big 955 Johnny, and we thought that was the duck guts. And we were working on another job, and a bloke come in with an 8060 New Holland, and he blew our 955 away. So we put that on the market, the Johnny, and we found one out of Castlemaine, and had that for several years. And then TR's come around, the 98s, 98s I think it was.
Was that a 26-foot front?
No, 30.
That was
10-foot
30.
front, and I brought one of them and ran that for years. That was so impressive. But cut a long story short, I've had every colour pretty
Yeah.
much. Yep.
Yeah.
And when the 9660s Bullet Rotor or something they called come out, and I couldn't buy a New Holland because I'd sold mine privately, and a friend of mine sold me this 9660 out of Hoyslers in Sea Lake. Anyway, we set it all up, and we're stripping about 8 bags just out of Sea Lake with a 36-foot honeybee on it, I think it was. I said, "You got to come out here, Darren, there's something wrong with this thing." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's got no power." And he comes out and jumps in and he goes, "That's it, like, this is what they are." So I said, "All the hype, this is it." He said, "Yep." Anyway, I said, "Can you try sell it for me?" I said, "This is no good to me as a contractor." Anyway, he said, "You're serious, aren't you?" And I said, "Yep."
And then we went to the case.
The 7120. 7120. That wasn't too bad a header. I thought it was okay, but then I got out of that and just went back to the CRs and haven't changed.
Haven't changed,
no,
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And the new CRs today, what you've been in one, that's just phenomenal what they can eat.
Yep.
No, they're a flush bit of gear, aren't they, mate?
You know, they're chewing a bit of crop. We're pretty happy with what they're doing.
What's it going, you reckon? In terms
The
of
yield,
Yeah.
sort of 4.5 tonne in the barley, and the favour beans went about 2.5, and we're sort of sitting on that 50 to 60 tonne an hour with the barley, and the favours are about 35. So we're wrapped with how these CRs are chewing the crop.
I stayed home and raised a family, 2 kids.
Yep.
Jimmy was one of them. All he wanted to do was play with his toy header. He'd fill it up with oats in the sand pit, real oats.
Yeah.
And he'd auger it out, and we'd say, "What are you doing? What are you augering out?" And he says, "Oats."
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a New Holland.
Yeah.
It was a New Holland.